Good morning, everyone. Let me welcome you on behalf of GOPAS on today's breakfast, or rather brunch maybe, at a lecture called Digital Transformation, or What Can We Do to Make It Happen? Hopefully you have your breakfast, coffees, brunches, or some sweet at your hands, so make yourselves comfortable and enjoy the learning. The session consists of three following topics. The first topic will explain what the digital transformation actually is. While second part is dedicated to show who should be leading or responsible for the digital transformation in companies from IT point of view. And because both preceding topics are quite dense, the third topic is an optional one, which describes how to get prepared for the digital transformation from the IT perspective as well. Who presenters are? Hello again, my name is Vladimir and I'm the facilitator of this session and curious attendee as well. But first real speaker here is Martin, independent professional who's very active in a digital transformation and IT management and governance. And he is also my colleague at GOPAS Educational Center. Martin will explain the first what section and, if time permits, the last how section of today's breakfast. The second part explaining who belongs to Dimitri, who will deliver it. And what to say about Dimitri, he is a founding member of DASA Association. At the same end of the presentation, I will introduce a couple of interesting things and about which next steps GOPAS, as the organizer of this breakfast, can do for you to enhance your knowledge and provide you next steps with education. Before we'll start, there's a very simple set of ground rules. Please switch off your cameras and mute your microphones, but feel free to use the chat window here in Microsoft Teams in case of any questions. Your questions, if there will be any, will be answered at the end of each section. So please stay patient. And now it's the right time to sell the word to Martin. So Martin, please take it.
Hello everyone, this is Martin and I would like to present you what is, according to my opinion, based on a lot of reading and a lot of discussions with my colleagues, digital transformation is. Because this is a very well-known term, it's a buzzword, and unfortunately a lot of people understand it in different ways. So let's look at it from my perspective. And if you have any questions on the end of this section, we can discuss it. So I will start with evolution because, evolution is around us and humankind evolve from the left side and it evolves in a specific direction. Actually, this picture is very well known and I took it from the t-shirt of my teenager son. So perhaps you could see that. I was searching for some kind of definition and I found this one. Evolution is a gradual change over a period of time. This is interesting and I believe it's very well known. But unfortunately, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in all cases. Most of the time, it's like that. But from time to time in the history, there were specific events and those events had huge impact on the life on our earth, and we called that mass extinction of species, and there were actually 5 of them. And you can see that during those events a huge percentage of species disappeared from earth. Based on the history and based on the learning from history, the guy who is called Charles Darwin made some kind of statement, and I believe it's very important for us. It's not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. And why I mention that? Because what works in the nature works in economy or industry as well. On the screen, you can see names of very well-known companies. Kodak, Olivetti, 3M, Nokia, ICL, etc., etc. Those companies 30 years ago belong to top 100 companies in the world. Nowadays, those companies do not exist. Okay, maybe you can find the logo or the name of the company as a brand, but it's owned by somebody else. On other hand, we have companies, sometimes they are called unicorn companies, and some of them are known like Airbnb or SpaceX, and other we don't know about. We never heard of them. So those are new companies, and those companies nowadays belong to top 100 companies in the world. And those companies have something in common. The first thing is that their business model is based on the technology. It's not just the business model supported by technology, but it's a business model that's from a large portion use opportunities of technology, and based on that it's built. That's one point. Second point, that those companies have ability to quickly respond to change. It can be measured with the parameter called time to market. So if there is a need to change what they do, if there is a need to make change in the business model, they do it, and they can do it very quickly. There is a room for experimentation and innovation. They experiment, they innovate, they bring new products, they bring new organizational structures, new processes, and they try to improve it on a very frequent way. To be able to do it, they have lean organization and lean operational model. It's really flat. There are not bureaucratic processes or huge organizational and complicated organizational structures, nothing like that. They are extremely customer oriented. From this perspective, we can say that they really listen to the customer, and more or less on daily basis, they can respond to the customer, they can modify their organization or processes or products because customers want to have it in different way. Those organizations are product, not project oriented. That's a huge change because, yeah, they have products, they can concentrate on products, and they don't need to build complicated project organizational structures. They don't need to learn project teams how to work together because they already have team built around the product. There is high level of automation because they have lean operational model. They don't have bureaucratic processes. They are able to automate the processes, and this automation helps them with really quick response and short time to market. I already mentioned that they have teams around the products, and those teams are end-to-end responsible. They are cross-functional, and they have very high level autonomy. Even they have possibility to decide about their own budgets and decision rights. They don't need to wait, for example, 3 weeks or 1 month for decision of the senior management. And because of that, they can reduce the cost to market. They are very, very cheap from that perspective. And they have specific mindset. First, they are infinite. It means that they believe that market or opportunities can grow. They are not limited. That's one point. The second point is they are anti-fragile. We will talk about that later on. And they have design thinking mindset. It means they look at everything from the customer perspective. Before they design the product, they really think what customer needs, how customer will see that, how is user experience, how is customer experience, and so on. So they have those features, or they have those abilities. That's one point. You can say that those companies were built from scratch, and it's not so easy to build this environment in existing companies, and you can be right. We can look at two extremes. The first one, we have old traditional companies, and you can see that they are really analog. They do everything on the paper. That's one extreme. And on the second side, we have new generation of digital customers, because we have generation that grew up with smartphones, with tablet, with internet, with computers, and they have completely different expectations. For example, current digital customer will never wait till the second day morning when shop is open to search for information. When they want to have information, they just take the phone and they start to Google it. That's a huge difference, and it should be available. So on one side we have digital customers. On the second side we have analog companies, old companies, and there is certain gap between those two extremes. And based on that, we can make a definition. Of course, you can find a lot of definitions on the internet, but I like this one from Greg Verdino. Digital transformation closes the gap between what digital customers already expect and what analog businesses actually deliver. You know, analog business means, yeah, I have a shop and we have opening hours between 9 and 6. And if you want to have information, come into our shop at 9 in the morning. But on the other hand, digital customer will say, okay, today evening, 9 o'clock, I would like to know what television is the best one to buy. And I want to know it right now. I don't want to wait till the second day morning. So there is a huge gap between those two approaches. And with digital transformation, we want to close this gap. The second possible definition or view is that digital transformation overarching goal is to use innovative technology to create new business models, products, or services. More or less, we say that through digital transformation, we want to build business model based on technology, not just supported. Products based on the technology, not just supported by technology. And when we look at those two definitions, we can make some kind of conclusion. And it can be that the result of digital transformation should not be a better technology implemented in our company. It should be better everything else around that technology. And from that perspective, we can see that digital transformation has a huge impact on the whole organization, not just IT organization. When we look at back, few years back, we can see that there are approximately three waves of digital transformation, or stages or phases, doesn't matter how we call it. The first one that started in the 90s of previous century, it's called digitalization. At that time, we could see a huge boom of personal computers, and suddenly everybody wanted to have a computer at home. That was the first step. And we started to use computers for work that was done in the past by different tools. For example, now when we want to type the letter, or when we want to create a contract or offer, we use computer, not typewriter. Or when we want to draw technical schemes or pictures, we don't use anymore drawing boards, but we use CAD software in our computers. And I believe that this first wave is over, because people accepted that those tasks are done on the computer. When you want to calculate something, when you want to create budget, you use Excel and so on. The second wave is about cooperation and collaboration. We have our staff in digital form. It means we have a letter, we have invoice in PDF format, or in Word format, or in Excel format, something like that. So we don't need it to print it out. We can send it via email. That's one point. Second point is that maybe email is not enough. Maybe we can build some kind of workflow. We can have workflow engines. We can automate the process. We just attach invoice into that process, and based on predefined steps, it somehow circulate around the company without necessity to print it out. It means it will be much faster. And we don't need to be just in the company. You can imagine that you have some customers outside your company. You have your suppliers maybe on the opposite side of the globe, and you can cooperate and collaborate in this way with them as well. And especially during class, let's say 3-4 months when we had lockdown, we could see that many companies sent people to home offices, and this, let's say, digital cooperation and collaboration was the only way how they can work together. Some companies are already over, some companies are in the middle of that second wave, and some companies just started. I still know some organizations where you create invoice, then you print it out, sign it on the paper, take it, and walk through the corridor to another office to put it on the table to somebody else. So that's the second wave. We can do our stuff not only in digital form, but we can transfer, we can collaborate on that. The third wave is coming. Some companies already started. What will happen in that third wave is still not known, but we can see huge influence of four, let's say, technological areas. The first one is cloud computing. And I don't mean just the possibility to save our files in Dropbox or Amazon Web Services or Azure or something like that, but all technologies that are related to them. It means virtualization, containerization, software as a service, different workflows and automations. If there are any programmers, they know Git tools, they know Jenkins and stuff like that. And it's not limited just to one network. You can cooperate in this way with people around the globe. That's one area. The second area that's related to the world outside, and it's Internet of Things, because more or less anything with supported with electric power can be connected to the internet. And when it can be connected to the internet, there can be certain logic inside. It can be programmed, and it can be set up via smartphone. You know, we have smart homes, we have smart tools at home, and so on. And through that, we can, in comfortable way, arrange environment around us. And it's not just to influence environment around us, but this equipment can collect a lot of information that can be evaluated, and based on that, we can improve our environment around us. And that's the third area, big data, because we have a huge amount of data on one place. Maybe it's not so structured, maybe it's different formats and so on, but we have to somehow deal with that. We have to learn somehow what it means, because data itself means nothing. We have to understand what data means, and we have to use that. And that the fourth area. We can start to talk about machine learning. We can start to talk about artificial intelligence, because at certain moment, the human brain will slow down the process, and computers can analyze data much more faster. They can learn from that. They can build algorithms and so on. I think that typical tools and typical possibilities we have now is that we have software for automation of the processes. The software can somehow oversee what's done in the process, and based on that, automate that process or even improve that process. In IT environment, we can think about call center or service desk. They can, or the system can learn from the tickets, from information we provide, from monitoring tools and so on. And based on that, they can make suggestions for improvement and so on. So we have those three waves. We can see those waves around us. Something is over, something is in progress, and something is coming. If it's the last wave, I have no idea. And I believe then in 10, maybe 15 years, when we look at a slide like that, we will be able to add another wave or another step in it. So that's what's going on. And there is some statistics. I found from Harvard Business Review some surveys or result of the surveys. And you can see two parameters or two KPIs from the surveys on the screen. In the first one, on the left side, you can see that 84% of all executives answering the survey, they agreed that when they started with digital transformation brought new opportunities. They immediately could see that they can do more than nowadays, and they can improve business model, they can improve products and services, and they can improve customer satisfaction. That's one thing. On the other hand, you can see that only 20% of all executives could see that their way of digital transformation was effective. More or less, we can say that 80% of all people somehow struggled with digital transformation because it's not so easy. And I was searching for some reasons, and I found 5 key barriers for digital transformation. Dimitri later on will support it with some other reasons or with some other numbers. The first one is missing clear direction. It's very simple. Digital transformation is not sprint. It's not a short distance run. It's long distance running. And you have to know where you want to go. You have to understand what's your goal, long-term goal, what's your direction. And if your company doesn't have direction, if your company doesn't know how this company wants to look like in 3-5 years, what this company wants to deliver in 3-5 years, what kind of services to what kind of customers they want to deliver, then it's really difficult to invest in digital transformation and to modify or change the organization. You need certain level of strategic management. You need governance in the organization, IT governance in the organization, and it's really missing. The second topic, fragile organization. Fragile organization means it's organization that can be easily destroyed. Again, my experience is that maybe 80-90% of all companies don't do risk management on a regular basis. They don't understand the risk they can impact their business. They do not provide mitigation actions, nothing like that. So from that perspective, it's easy to destroy them. And again, we could see that during last 3-4 months, how many companies were not prepared. That's one point. When you implement risk management, you can identify risks, and based on that, you can build a robust organization because you can protect your status quo, you can protect your processes, your tools, your people, your automation, your information systems, and so on. In both cases, it means fragile organization or robust organization. You will want to avoid any change because that change is a danger for your organization or is too expensive. At certain moment, you have to make a decision that for some risks, you will not prepare mitigation actions because, yeah, you don't mind if they happen. Because when they happen, it can be huge opportunity for improvement. And I like a statement I could hear somewhere. I don't know who said that, but I really like that. In anti-fragile organization, incident is not bad stuff or wrong stuff. It's opportunity to do it in better way. It's completely mindset shift from one perspective to another. And yeah, it's really interesting. The third barrier is about company culture. And definitely, if you look at big companies, hierarchical companies or organizations, huge companies, you can see that there are a lot of, let's say, levels in that companies. It's really difficult to make decisions. it's too bureaucratic, etc., etc. So you need to change it. That's one point. The second point is that in those companies, you can hear very often, and I think it's typical example, two statements. The first one, it's not my responsibility. That's one thing. That's one thing. What people can say. This is not my responsibility. It's responsibility for somebody else. And the second nice statement characteristic for this, let's say, toxic environment is it's not my fault. Somebody else did it. Blaming culture. If you want to collaborate, if you want to cooperate, there must be high level of trust. That's one point. The second point is that there must be safe environment. If you want to experiment, if you want to innovate, definitely you will do mistakes. And you have to create environment where it's possible to make mistakes. The four barriers, good people on wrong places. That's very interesting as well, because, each of us has, let's say, uh, light side and dark side. And each of us has talent or a gift for something else. And in many cases, unfortunately, people cannot use that talent or gift they don't have appropriate rights to do it. They don't have authority. They don't have decision rights. They are somehow forced to do work they don't like and stuff like that. And they don't have knowledge for that. They don't have skill set, competencies, and stuff like that. So we have to move people, or we have to make sure that we have right people on the right places, based on discussions with people, based on leadership, etc., etc. And the last fifth barrier is that we have complex systems and we have huge and bureaucratic processes. And if you want to automate, if you want to speed up, you have to remove everything what's waste, what you don't need. You have to simplify that. You have to make lean processes. You have to make simple architecture of information systems, etc., etc. And this will not happen overnight as well. So those are five barriers, and we have to somehow deal with them. And if you look at those barriers, definitely it's not just about IT, it's about whole organization. And here we come to the discussion, or to the question, who should be leader of that digital transformation? And because there is word digital, in many cases people think, yeah, it will be CIO, because CIO or IT director, IT manager, doesn't matter how you call it, is responsible for IT systems, and digital means IT systems, right? But can a CIO influence business processes? Not at all. Can CIO influence the culture in the whole organization? Not at all. So it's definitely not CIO. It must be CEO, nobody else. So CEO must somehow change the mindset, must understand that digital transformation is opportunity for the organization, and must somehow lead or be accountable for that. But he or she cannot do it himself or herself. CEO will need help with that. So we need somebody who will help them. And there is definitely always one candidate, and that's Chuck Norris. Bad message is that this man is capable to do a lot of things, but it's permanently overbooked. So we have to find somebody else, or we have to somehow find a person in our organization who can play the role of Chuck Norris. But that's question for Dimitri. But before I hand over screen and words to Dimitri, Vladimir, do we have any questions regarding to this part?
There are no questions at the moment, so let's wait, let's say 10 to 15 seconds, because some latencies are in a Teams meetings. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. No questions right now.
No question. So I will stop sharing of my screen, and Dimitri, you can start sharing your screen and your part of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Martin. Let me see if you can see my screen, guys. Can you hear me loud and clear?
And we can see your slides.
Excellent, fantastic. You can also hear me, Martin.
Yes.
Excellent, fantastic. Then I'll switch back to my slides once again.
Everybody hears you.
Excellent. So, good morning, all of you. Pleasure being here. Pleasure being here with Martin. Martin Vitus is also a DASA ambassador, and I have the pleasure to working with him basically around the world and around Europe on the products of DASA. And pleasure being here with you with GOPAS. GOPAS is a long-term partner of DASA, training organization. And I'm very pleased to be contributing to today's webinar. I'm based in Holland, in the Netherlands, and I'm the founding partner of this organization called DASA. We provide solutions to support digital transformations. You will find them in the certification domain and training domain, but I will also show you some of our newer additions in the assessments and other instruments that are out there to help our partners, training partners, consulting partners, and organizations out there in supporting that digital transformation. Because as Martin explained, what is the issue? What is the real struggle? And Martin shared a couple of barriers and let's say reasons why digital transformation fail. I also have the 84% number. It seems like a magic number coming from all those different researchers. That's a kind of Pareto 80-20 rule. I see a lot of 84%. But if you look at the ones that fail, and both McKinsey and Forbes did some detailed analysis, those are recent reports. You find reasons like management doesn't support change, inadequate budget, low quality. But if you look at the 60% that actually succeed, then you find that it's about people. It's about how they think, how they interact, and how they collaborate, and that those organizations in those digital transformations, that they basically address that fact, that they address the people side. So it's not about technology, it's not purely about budget, it's about changing people's behavior, making them work, and making them ready for adopting new changes. And this is exactly where I'm going to talk about today. So we're going to talk about the DASA DevOps Coach, which is a new certification. It's the first certification in the world, training coaches who support digital transformation, who look at individuals. And we're going to explain you why organizations actually need it, and also why for individuals this is a very interesting program to basically ready their career and pave the way for very interesting assignments and or helping their organizations getting to the next level. But first, a brief introduction to DASA, the DevOps Agile Skills Association. So we started this organization, which is a kind of learning and knowledge community. I started thinking about it in 2015, so that's already some 5 years ago. Because when we scanned them in the market, we scanned for certifications and neutral, let's say vendor neutral bodies out there supporting the development of individuals and supporting the development of organizations, and we didn't find a very solid body which was working from a membership focus. So what we did in 2016, we set up the company and started working with many training partners around the world. GOPAS certainly one of them. We have trainers and experts around the world. Martin is also one of them, and you'll find many of them in this picture. So we have a lot of information exchange. We have ambassadors. We have learners in more than 50 countries, and we are a well-connected, well-engaged learning community of experts. But what we did in 2016 is we developed something completely new. We didn't just say, well, here's a training, here's a certification, and take the training and do it. No, we started with a competence model. And for those of you who are not familiar with that, this competence model provides you an assessment of your own skills across 12 extremely important competence areas. So we have knowledge areas on the left side, and we have skills areas. And these areas have been defined with the team in mind. So, because in a team, you need to be a minimum level 4 on all those domains. And what we did is we built this model, and it also includes a kind of scan, an individual scan that you can take free of charge. It's at scan.devops.agileskills.org, which gives you your individual fingerprint. And thinking about it, it has been extremely important tool for organizations and individuals to build teams, because this person here on the right, she has her scan, and other folks have their own profiles, and you can roll them up and basically see, where am I as a team? Because if I need to be an independent, full functioning DevOps team, I need to be at minimum level 4. I need to have all those areas covered at a specific level, and we believe you have to be covered at level 4. So that was the first thing we did. The second thing we did is we wrote down, based on all the knowledge which was out there in the world, what are the most important principles out there to help you drive and be successful in digital transformations. And this is critical because those principles basically drive every single step we take as an individual or as an organization. And Martin and I, we can talk for quite some time about those principles. I'll just give you a little bit of a brief what's in there. It starts with customer-centric action. If you look at the 3 waves that Martin designed, and the individual person, not waiting till the shop opens, but having access to whatever he or she wants to have, or whatever he or she wants to buy or learn or know, that is about customer-centric action. You have to understand.
Excuse me, Dimitri, I'm very sorry to bother you, but it looks like your slide deck is not moving. We still see the introductory slide deck now.
Thanks for, let me go back and let me stop sharing and reshare again. So share, I'm going to do it again. So can you please
we can see your desktop now, with the PowerPoint opened.
Yes, I'm sorry guys. So am I back online again? Because
okay, try to move back and forth, please, just to be sure.
Yes, I'll there's something weird happening here. So this is my show. 1 second, let me sharing is paused. So
in a worst case, when you are not presenting your slide deck, just move using a mouse on your keyboard. So all right, it will be some supplementary solution.
So what I will do, I think this looks stable. So I'm not in the presentation mode now, but if this is okay for all of us, then I will present it like this. Can you please confirm, Vladimir?
I am, actually.
You can see it. Okay, I assume all of you can see it because I saw some flickering on my screen. I don't know what it was, so I will show it, in not in the presentation mode. For those of you interested in the slides, we will share the slides as well, so you please take your time and have a look at it. Okay, so talking about digital transformation, I mean, any transformation requires business leadership. And I'm here today talking about a very important role, a new role, which is the DevOps coach. I'm going to explain why this is an interesting role for organization to invest in. And I've also been asked to share a little bit about the product owner. And all those certifications and courses are also offered by GOPAS in your region. Two things about the product owner. What is it? I mean, a typical product owner are relatively young folks, business savvy, impatient. I've experienced working at the intersection of the IT and the business, and in general, I have a solid understanding of the software life cycle. But our product owner program is quite different than the typical agile product owner programs, because the agile product owner program focuses on the development side and also the business side, getting the requirements, what does the customer need. But a DevOps product owner looks at the complete life cycle. So it also looks at incidents and feedback from customers, and actually having that as well included in your product strategy, and also your prioritization about what to deliver. So instead of only looking at the customer and the features and getting that done, I mean, there's more that needs to be taken into account. And that's this. It's a 2-day program, and it's a very interesting program to take the next step on the product owner level. So, DevOps coach. So what is happening? So why are organizations, and I will share a number of them today as well, why are they investing in DevOps coaches? So the first one is that it is critical to change the organizational culture. And organizational culture is also the 84% versus the 60%. It's about people. It's about how they interact. It's about how they go through change. It's about how they work together. And also dealing with a lot of uncertainty, which is part of any transformation project. What comes with that is that they also need to be prepared to adopt new technologies, whether it's Wave 4, which Martin talked about, or whether there's new kind of applications and technologies. And because for sure, new technologies will come, but how do you deal with that? How do you embrace it? How do you convert all the new opportunities or the new technologies into opportunities? In general, DevOps will be showing results, and it's about adapt or die, or grow or die, or go digital or die. And what Gartner predicts, you find it as well in this statement, is that many initiatives will fail because of organizational learning and change. And that is exactly why organizations are invested in it. We also see a lot of learners, individuals, joining our global programs. And when I ask them, why are you joining us? Why are you joining this program? Many of them see it as a very important investment in their career. Some of them, it's a purpose thing, they like to talk, coach, help, and work with people and get them to the next level. But it's also by being connected with like-minded experts within the DASA community and be relevant and credible. Recent thing from agile coaches, which of course is relatively close to what we're doing in this DevOps domain, is that for some of them we've completely transformed how they operate, because getting the DevOps sense as well, in a broader sense, really make them a completely different pawn in their organization and in their role. When you do a search, you'll find very interesting job openings. This was one from January, which I used, and if you look at the description, and many of our the DAS community are actually analyzing those job descriptions and match it with our program. It's a very interesting thing, like having an understanding how software gets delivered, and looking at the culture and how to do it right. And this is one which I just looked for or found yesterday. I mean, it came in, and and it's about building high-performing teams, you know, and getting it done, managing conflicts, getting people to the right level, and working both on software development, but also about the mindset and the culture. And that is exactly also where the coaches come in. So how did it start? Take you a little bit back, and then we'll also look more deeply into the role and how the program looks like. And I think by the end of the presentation, we'll also share the dates of the upcoming DASA DevOps Coach program. But how did it start? So, being a membership organization, our experts, our members, our partners, actually in 2018 told us that we had to prioritize this certification because we had a couple of options. We were planning to go for the leader, the coach, and the product owner was already there. But they said no, we have to go first for the DASA DevOps Coach because it's the most essential program and there's nothing there in the world. So we developed the syllabus, the learning outline. We ran the first programs. We did a global launch in March this year, just when COVID hit us hard. And in April onwards, we are now doing the global rollout. We're doing trainer sessions, and it's actually going at a very rapid pace. It's been designed and fine-tuned by some of the world's best experts, but not only the best experts, also folks like Martin and other experts around the world fine-tune the program to make it lively, complete, and to make it extremely good fit for agile experts and folks who are actually running digital transformations. It's a 3-day program or a 9 virtual sessions, and typical typical language is English, but it can also be delivered in local language, but the exams are in English. We had an issue when COVID-19 came because we designed the program as a classroom program, so we had to convert it into a virtual program. So now all the programs that are on virtual are getting extremely good results. So I mean, it even made us think, because why is it? But I think having shorter sessions of 3 hours gives more time for learning, more time to absorb the learning. And actually, it's working extremely well in a virtual delivery session. So let's look at the scope of the coach. So it supports individuals, it supports teams, and it supports the organization. And so on one end, it's about enabling organizational change, helping you as an individual team go through the change. And as important is that you coach for performance. So there are specific targets, there are goals which you need to achieve. You have to understand specific metrics and DevOps metrics, and know the language that the organization is talking. So it's both to coach with the objective for performance, and it's for change. And what you see is that the DevOps coaches operate at a couple of different dimensions. So it starts with yourself. You have to have a very solid understanding of your presence, who you are, your own values, how you come across, and we spend a lot of time on that. Because afterwards, I mean, you'll be learned and trained to engage with individuals, teams, and organizational level. So getting also your presence and your own style of working and how you come across is an important part of this program. But it's not only about coaching, it's putting it in a DevOps process and context. And that makes this program unique. So you will get a very detailed understanding of the DevOps dimension. We talk about lean, we talk about flow, we talk about specific transformational structures and ways to do it. You will understand how the typical organization, DevOps organization or IT organization look like, and how you act with them from different capacities. And you will understand the vital difference between a coach, and a leader. While the leader is typically accountable, driving things forward, determining the business outcome, the coach is more on the how, on the people, more internally focused, making sure that everyone is in the is aligned and showing the same behavior. It's more enabling the softer things, and it is crucial for success. Example that I've been given by one of the experts in India. He said, take an example, and I'll use my own example. I have a daughter, she's 70 years old, and if I want to go to do her A or B, and I wanted to do A, I can tell her you have to do A, being a leader, being a parent. But if one of her friends, one of her peers would say, well, you better do A, it will be much easier accepted. And that is because you influence from a level of trust, from a specific trust level, which makes it completely different. And that's the power of the DevOps coach. So it's a very versatile role. So it combines hard DevOps competences with soft skills, and we will learn you or DevOps coach to change on the fly between 4 different styles: being a coach, being a mentor, facilitator, and a consultant. And you will train those 4 different styles as well, and learn when to apply what style, when to change, how to assess what style to use to both the individual, the team, and the organization. It's a 5-module-based program, so typically 3 days or the 9 sessions. And so it starts with an intro. It's about the objectives, the coaching for performance and change, with look at specific key metrics in the DevOps domain. Being a DevOps coach, do a lot of exercises as well on soft skills and contracting, presence, communication, stakeholder management. And towards the end, it becomes more DevOps oriented, because there is a transformation journey and a case study embedded, which brings everything together towards module 5. It's interesting to look at the concept used, because I wrote them down at one point of time, and this is not a finite list. There are many more, but I mean, it makes use of very interesting new concepts. Grow model is being used everywhere, and in the next session, or if you're interested, and Martin and I can also share more information about this. By the way, all the pictures you see are live pictures, so this was shot in one of the sessions in Rotterdam. But it's also action oriented, so there are case studies throughout. You need to present, there's teamwork, and you'll learn a lot about yourself and from the other guys. And to close the module 5, being a DevOps coach, this you'll apply the learnings in the case study, but we'll also train you and use you on a specific assessment, which helps you also taking the first steps in assessing where you are in your transformation, where you want to be, and how you actually keep track of that. So we will release the next version of this assessment program as part of the new version of the coach, which will be part of the program that will be run by Martin and GOPAS. So it's 10:53. We can talk for hours, which I would like to do, but I'm going to give back to Martin and see if we have any questions and ideas which we can handle now.
So, Vladimir,
excuse me, no question so far. Sorry about that. I had a problem to turn on my microphone. So, yeah, thank you, Dimitri, and back to Martin.
Okay, so then, because we have some time, I would like to just start with this part, how to prepare as a CIO, or how to prepare IT organization for digital transformation. So far you could hear what we think is digital transformation. That's one point. The second point is that from Dimitri, you could hear that the key topic is about people, about culture, about the development of the organization.
Excuse me, Martin. Can you share your presentation?
Yep, sorry. Is it better now?
Yes.
Much more better.
And can it move?
Try it. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So so far we could hear or you could hear what we think about digital transformation, and you could see that it's much more than just change of IT or technologies within IT. You could hear from Dimitri about the coach and how the coach can help with that. And of course, the organization somehow must grow up into this situation, that organization understand that they have to change, they can get help, and they start to work on that. But it doesn't mean that head of IT must somehow stop his or her activities and just wait what will happen. Because at the moment when business makes decision that it's necessary to do something with that, IT should be ready. IT should not be a roadblock, or business should never wait for IT. So what we can do, I will show you just one slide with some kind of animation as a potential another webinar, some kind of appetizer. And later on in feedback, you can say if you want to see a webinar like that in the future or not, if you would like to have it or not. So first, when we start to think about IT organization and what we can do with IT organization, we can use a typical triangle with three tops. And in each top, we can have one parameter. Can be time to market, can be cost to market, can be scope or quality. And of course, if you want to somehow optimize or improve IT organization, then you have to first you have to make priorities, and second you have to build some kind of mindset in that organization. So when we start to talk about mindset, the first one is growth mindset. It means we can improve, we can grow, there are no limits. It's a shift of mindset, because in many cases you can see that people say, yeah, we have limited possibilities, we have limited resources, we have limited budget, and we cannot do anything about that. So this is one thing you can change. People should recognize, yes, we can do something with that. The second part of the mindset, and we already mentioned that, is design thinking. Look at everything from the customer perspective, because we don't do it for ourselves, we do it for business. And you can have the best solution, you can have the best technology, but if it's not used, then it's just waste of money. So there should be design thinking. So when you have your mindset in the right way, then you can start to think about priorities. And when we talk about priorities, when we talk about strategy, we talk about governance. And governance is something what's necessary to have. It's not necessary to be complicated, but it's something what we really need. And within the governance, we can make decision which topic is the priority for us, which topic is the best for our business. And we decide that together with business. In IT world, we have for that the framework, which is called COBIT, current version 2019. Within governance, we make decision about priority. In case that priority is scope and quality, we have more or less two possibilities. The first one, we can have IT organization which is based mainly on software development. You know, there can be a bunch of programmers, and suddenly they have to operate the solutions. At this moment, you can look at something what's called SRE, Site Reliability Engineering. It came from Google, and it can be some kind of framework that can look at the operational task from programming perspective. On the other hand, you can be in situation that you just operate solutions delivered by somebody else. So software development is more or less outsourced. And at this moment, you definitely use ITIL nowadays in version 4. Both CRE and ITIL can support digital transformation in the way that it can be lean, it can be flexible, it can speed up, and it can reduce the cost. When you say that time to market is the most important topic, then definitely you should go for DevOps. DevOps, we can say, is some kind of philosophy, how to utilize the culture, collaboration, and so on, and you can build a high-performing IT organization. And the last possibility is that if you want to survive, and we have COVID crisis here, then maybe money is the topic. Then you have to concentrate on cost to market, and at this moment you can use something what's called lean IT. Lean IT is based on let's say experience from production, and the goal of lean IT is to bring experience, topics, tools from production to IT environment. And yeah, we can learn a lot from them. So this is some kind of short explanation what we can do. We can improve our quality. We can improve our time to market. We can improve cost to market. But first, we have to change the mindset and we have to make decisions. And in IT environment, we have frameworks for that. So if you are in a position that you are IT manager or IT director, you can think about that. You can think about those possible solutions. If your position is in business management on the business side, you can ask questions, and your IT manager should be able to answer that, how they work, and if they say that they have difficulty something, you can make recommendations. So this is something what can be explained more detail. We can talk hours and hours about that. That's one point. And the second point is that when you start the way of digital transformation, and if you start to use the tools, frameworks, methods, philosophies, approaches, doesn't matter how we call it, then definitely you have to be ready that our current standard positions will evolve as well. So that's another possible topic we can discuss, how the current IT roles can evolve during the digital transformation. So that's short appetizer for a future potential webinar. And we started the evolution, so we finished with evolution. And that's all from me for now. And I would like to hand over to Vladimir, and maybe we can talk what GOPAS can do for you on the way to be successful in digital transformation. So Vladimir, it's yours.
Thank you, Martin. Before I will comment the last, let's say, additional section of the of the session, is there any question so far? Everything was clear. All attendees are satisfied or sleeping.
Everything or nothing.
Sorry?
No questions. It means that everybody understands everything or nothing.
Yeah, it's a hit or miss completely. All right. So first of all, guys, thank you very much for the great eye opener, what the session actually was, for me at least. And I must say that it's always a big pleasure to me to meet super experienced and super skilled experts like you are. It was great from my perspective. So I guess that the general question which should be asked is how to be expert like you. So this is how GOPAS or DASA association can help you with. Here in the slide there's a structure or schema of certifications developed and offered by DASA as a, let's say, proven way to show the skill, to show the experience. It becomes from a foundational through professional to the leadership level. I guess that Dimitri described all the schema and introduced the schema for you. But all right, how to get prepared for such exam? For such preparation, for such study, GOPAS offers, traditionally I must say, a bunch of DevOps courses for a professional as well as fundamental level, and you can see also the current dates where when the courses will be provided by GOPAS in a closest terms or from a closest to end of a year. The last one, the DevOps coach, is not scheduled yet, but the course already exists. So sometimes the scheduling is made upon the let's say interests of customers. But we also have some other, let's say, more technology related courses on GOPAS, like courses about ITIL frameworks or COBIT frameworks, or I guess also Prince and so on. So feel free to visit the gopas.eu domain webpage, and you will see more with syllabuses and or the stuff describing the course and its content. All right, guys. If there are no more questions, feel free to contact us after the session as well, using email addresses provided at the beginning of the session, or just write to info@gopas.sk to contact account managers in GOPAS. So thank you for your attention. Thank you for coming, and enjoy your day, and see you soon at GOPAS.
Bye bye, everybody.
Thanks a lot, guys.